Now, let's talk about the Leaf game last night. We got Calgary, we got Toronto. Calgary wins, and they, to quote Steve's tweets, the Leafs got squished. Now, this is created, and I think there is a divide within Toronto Maple Leaf fans right now.
No, we're united.
Specifically, stop it. Specifically specifically with Toronto Maple Leafs fans, there are the group of people who, in the broader context, in the 5-year context, are looking at this team. And then there are the people that are going, those other years don't matter. This is a new year. This team's really fucking good. And it seems, Steve, like there's a bit of a divide with the fans that are watching your show, are watching LFR. Because the fans that are watching it in the full 5-year, 6-year context, whatever you want to put it, are going, Steve, I see what you're saying. We saw all these same problems before. They didn't address them, and they lost in the first round. And then we see people who are not of that opinion saying, hey, listen, that is all in the past. It's a new team. You have said it yourself. It's the best forward group you've ever seen with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think so.
For me, it is.
By every number, and the one that matters most wins, this is the best team in the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs franchise.
Regular season.
Best regular season.
So I'm curious why you, Steve, were upset about last night.
So we talked about the Carolina Hurricanes game as being a playoff style game.
Mm-hmm. Tight game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, tight doesn't mean playoff style. Tight means tight. It was competitive, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew the Leafs could skate with the best teams in the league. They can fire the puck with the best teams in the league. I really like the compete of Peter Mrazek going up against Freddie Anderson, who's been unbeatable. But there was a moment in the Calgary game in the first period where I was like, oh, okay, this is going to go bad. And I don't even know if it was 1-0 yet.
But it didn't fall apart till midway through the second. What was it that triggered that?
It was, so I'm like, okay, the Flames are playing real ornery right now. And when Backlund nailed Nylander, which was a penalty, by the way.
Yeah.
I saw it going south because you saw the flavor of the game. And I was reminded, I know every season's a new season, but people will go back to their habits. And Daryl Sutter's team, the Calgary Flames, is going back to Daryl Sutter habits. After, the schedule's weird, so, pick a date. But after roughly the All-Star break, playtime's over. It's over. What he did with the 03 or the 04 Flames, the ones that went to the Stanley Cup Final, for the rest of the season, we do not lose 4 out of the next 7 games. For the rest of the season, we win at least 4 out of the next 7 games. Playoff style hockey. That team was not that talented. I don't even know if they were in the top half for teams that were in the playoffs. Tough SOBs. Now that's 2004. Okay, well, Jeff Carter. Oh, man. He turned the tide of the LA Kings in 2012. Well, yeah. But if you go look at his totals, his underlying numbers were stellar. I remember writing about that. But if you go look at his point totals, he wasn't a mutant. He helped make a team that was in the middle of hitting their stride better. Because playtime is over. I'm Daryl Sutter. We looked at the Flames' moves this summer, and a lot of people didn't like them, and I wasn't crazy about them, but I'm like, this is a Daryl Sutter-ass team.
Blake Coleman.
And within the first 10, 12 minutes of that game, I'm like, oh, we're getting a Daryl Sutter game. Those Kings teams that won back-to-back cups were heavy and exhausting. Grinding. And, not particularly dirty, necessarily, just wave after wave after wave. And all I could think was not 3 periods of this. It's 4 to 7 games of this. And the Leafs couldn't handle 3 periods of it. Now, guys, they were down to 10 forwards. Well, when the night began, they were down to 11. Also, management's choice.
Yeah.
They didn't have to.
It was for a cap situation.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Wayne Simmons had a baby.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was so insulted.
What do you mean?
I was so insulted that people thought I was like, well, why isn't he in the game? Like, I don't know. Gee.
Yeah, it made Dubas said beforehand it made more sense on the cap to not call up to run with 7D as opposed to call up Clifford or Richie.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, just
Fine.
for the cap. It's the middle of the season. That's okay.
Yeah,
Because
fine.
it's the playoffs is a different situation.
Fine. But the Flames played the way they did, with the speed that they did, the energy they did, the violence and aggression that they did on the second half of a back-to-back.
Mhm.
So if we're going to move the goalposts for the Leafs, we're going to move them for them too. Okay? What I said in that I should never tweet. I have this platform. I have LFRs. Why do I ever tweet? I go through this once, twice, 3 times a season where I go, why do I have an account? Why do I have an account? What a waste of time. Like
Save it for the show.
Yeah.
I
Save it
cannot
where-
adequately explain myself.
On
That much
in a tweet? No.
that much is obvious. So
Like you were trying
Here
to
I
have a
am.
nuanced conversation last night
On Twitter, and you can't.
that
And I
was-
don't know-
That was your fault.
1,000%.
That's your fault.
1,000% my fault. And here it is in a nutshell. The Leafs do not lose a lot of games. They win the vast majority of the games they play.
Which is great.
They often lose these games. We've seen it over and over and over again. And it's one game and okay. Like, I mean, at
Like you were
some
tweeting
point-
about it being a playoff game, Steve. It wasn't a playoff game. Objectively, it's a Thursday night
Yeah.
game in Calgary.
And a lot of people, that's their response. They're like, okay, it's not, though. It's not a playoff game. It saved those expectations for the actual playoff game.
So which one of us is saying the regular season doesn't matter then? Because I was getting a lot of that. Well, you said the regular season doesn't matter. No. You're the one saying this game does not matter.
They're saying it doesn't matter in the context of everything that's going on and the fact that they're a really good team.
Well,
they're
those
having the
games
best
don't matter
regular
either.
season ever.
Those games don't matter either. It's a collection of individual games.
Well,
So they don't matter either.
then
They've
if-
played 0 games.
Then I can be like, okay, I agree with you. Then let's just wait till the playoffs, and then you're still overreacting to this one game.
I think people are overreacting to valid criticism.
Mm-hmm.
They lose heavy games, man. They struggle in heavy games. Now, they outshot the Flames. They came out of the gate hot.
What do you say about to people that they got goalied? What do you say to
They
that?
get goalied every playoff.
Well, they
How
have played
many-
some pretty good goalies. Tuukka Rask, Carey Price.
Oh, it's the list of shitty goalies to win the Stanley Cup is pretty short.
Well, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Antti Niemi.
Right.
Like that's it. You're right.
Guys,
You're right.
The
You're right.
idea that having a good goaltender isn't just a thing you can do. Like I texted this. People act like having the other team having a good goalie is like illegal. It's like, oh, they had a good goalie, so their victory doesn't count. No, you can build the team that way, and you can win with a good goalie.
Like they're gonna potentially play Andrei Vasilevsky, right?
yeah,
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Maybe the question we're not asking here is, the other team had a good goalie. Do the Leafs?
He's struggling.
We got an 8-game skid now with Jack Campbell, where I've seen 1 or 2 good starts, maybe.
Nick Alberga had a wild tweet yesterday. I think it was his last 9 games. He's 6-2-1, which is fantastic, with an 893, which
Right.
is devastating.
Devastating.
Here, how about this one from Mike Augello? It's from December 1st. Jack Campbell, 9-2-2,
Incredible.
898.
Oh, God.
Save percentage.
Woo!
So I think, to me,
Wow.
Not good.
if you're going to talk about, like, the Leafs aren't struggling, it's a game, but our job is to overanalyze everything.
Yeah.
Welcome along for the ride. Hi, you must be new here. And I think personally that the Leafs are a very good team. And if Jack Campbell can get that save percentage to 905 or 910, we're laughing. Different game last night.
Jack Campbell can't go into the corners.
No, we can't. You're right. But I do think when the Leafs are at their best, they can outplay heavy teams. They can play around heavy teams. They're not going to be a heavy team.
Totally.
And that's what I'm thinking is that I think that they know that Jack's a little fragile right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they know that last night they're a couple men down. And I know excuses, whatever, you're going to lose people in the playoffs, whatever. And I know like Muzzin, did Muzzin even play last night? No.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
He did.
Muzzin
But
was-
it's like his first game back.
Yeah, Muzzin was
He was
there.
okay.
He was back in the lineup.
But he's okay.
I was encouraged.
Good.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like Jake Muzzin, after coming back from a concussion, is going to go, let's go toe-to-toe, Matt Tkachuk. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight you. My thing is, I think that what you're seeing is what the Leafs look like when Jack Campbell isn't Vezina candidate Jack Campbell. This is not his best stretch, and they're still doing great. So from my perspective, I think this team is talented enough to play around the heavy. I think you can have high-flying teams. The Penguins are a great example of a high-flying team that were tough and nasty sometimes, and the Leafs can be. Michael Bunting's a great example of that. I didn't love the takes on the Kasha thing is interesting.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Yeah, so
I don't think it's a suspension.
I don't think
No, it wasn't even. It was a clean hit. Zadorov.
I don't know what he's supposed to do.
He's 6'4", and he's going up against a guy who's 6'1" Kasha is.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it doesn't
such
matter. Kasha's just smaller than him, and Zadorov's checking him, and Kasha goes into like the middle of his chest and his shoulder.
And if
like,
you're the
that's
team,
how you hit a guy in the NHL.
if you're the team that more often than not, like higher than 50% of the time, comes out on the wrong end of stuff like that, you're going to be shorthanded.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying anything that's unfair here. Like again, they're a great team. They're a team worth believing in. And I'm not asking the Leafs to be the Flames. They're not built to be the Flames. The Lightning are a great standard for the Leafs to aspire to. I know they said the Hurricanes. The Lightning are a great standard to aspire to because they're not particularly heavy up front. They got a couple guys. Real heavy on the back end. Good Lord. And they got a world-beating goalie when all else fails, which it doesn't usually.
Right.
So they're like, to me, there's a reason they're the back-to-back champs with a chance at a third. They're currently the standard. Why shouldn't we be talking about that? Why shouldn't we be talking about how they can be even better?
Here's the thing. Both can be true, right? And I think this is important for Leafs fans to understand is that the Leafs are probably the best Leafs team we've ever seen. This is the best regular season team by the stats we've ever seen. And it's also true that there's 5 or 6 teams that you would say are easily better.
I wouldn't say easily better. I'd say
Florida, Tampa.
I give the edge to.
Yeah.
Give the edge to, okay.
Florida, Tampa, so that's an enormous problem.
Carolina.
Both of them are in the division. Carolina.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you include the West Coast on this one too. I'm talking league wide.
I think Carolina's pretty evenly matched. It's more evenly matched than people.
That was a
give
fun
credit.
game. I want them to
Very
play each
fun
other. They're
game.
not going to play each other, but I want them to.
I think the Leafs have the edge on the Bruins now, but that remains
Yeah?
to be seen.
Yeah.
Colorado's really good. Vegas is very difficult to evaluate because we haven't seen them play a healthy game,
And Jack Eichel.
and they're still in first. By the way, they're quietly tampering their way.
somebody's
into
going to go down with an
Yeah.
injury here.
What
this.
about
It's already happened.
I mean,
Mark Stone,
Nashville is
Mark Stone went out,
LTIR.
Nashville is resurgent this year.
Lucy Saros.
Right.
Yeah,
But Toronto's
And-
competitive with any team in the league, I think is what we're saying.
they can
now.
play any
Yeah.
team in the league, but I'm
Right.
saying okay, maybe not 5 teams.
Right.
But the problem is that 2 of the teams that that were mentioned there are directly in their division. And that's the hard part, right? It's like it's not that you're trying to like league wide. Yes, you compare them to most teams, they're kicking ass. It's amazing. But the problem is that they have to play probably Tampa or Florida, and both teams are very, very good.
I
don't know if that's a problem. You don't play bad teams in the playoffs.
I don't understand why Leaf fans who care are pretending not to.
No, I don't think it's that I think it's a difference of opinion. I don't think it's a not care. I think it's they're looking at this and going, this is objectively a new season. Last season, if you really look at it in context too, Steve, remember the Leafs did not have a backup. The Leafs have Jack Campbell and Peter Mrazek this year, but they had Freddie Anderson and his unsurgically repaired hip playing awful in the AHL. So You know, they were hoping and praying that Jack Campbell, who has an injury history, got through.
Yeah, Freddie, I mean, God bless him for the success he's having in Carolina. He was a non-option by the end of last year.
And
He was
like
a
you
non-option.
can't argue that. Like it's
No.
he was terrible.
You couldn't use him.
So they still dressed. So they had that going on. There was COVID going on. There's all those things. So I understand. I think it's just a different point of view of people like I think we should leave that in the past. Certain core pieces are gone from some of those teams. And I can understand that point of view. I'll have to admit sometimes I feel like, yeah, why are we paying attention to what happened last year? Because really, if you look at any of those series, Montreal, Winnipeg, Vegas, all those teams want that series back. All those teams want that series back.
It's not about last year. I was watching last night, and I saw the blue team get squished by the red team.
It's also hard for people to live and die by game 44 of the season.
Yeah, it is. And you have to understand that your passion edge is a little bit higher than a lot of people's.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's true because
I'm saying there's a group of people who are like, Steve, it's game 44. There are a group of people who are like, Steve, it's game 44, and I agree.
And they lose 9-1 next game, they'll all show up.
That's different. I think so.
I don't cheer for the Leafs to lose. Oh, Steve, makes more money, gets more clicks when they lose. They're one of the best teams in the league. Do you know how badly I wished it was the other way around? Do you know how badly I wished I got 100,000 every time they won a game?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And that's not my fault. I don't know what to do about that, guys.